Good. So go ahead and fill me in. Um, I forget what the dog's name was.
Hope.
Hope. Yes, yes. And then you were
Yeah.
looking for a board and train. You were interested in a board and train program.
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, go ahead and fill me in on Hope and what you're looking for, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I put together a Google Doc because I was just like, I need to get this information. And I've never done this over Zoom. So wasn't sure. I was like, oh, so you don't meet her. So Hope's a lab. She's a charcoal lab and about 18 months. And she's like, I have another dog who's a Great Dane mix. And they're attached, or she's attached to him at the hip. And then through COVID, I stayed on and off with family, but more on than off. And there's 7 other dogs ranging 2 pounds to 110, which is what Maverick is. And she's super submissive with all of those dogs and won't stop playing and having fun and doing all these things with them. So I've always loved dogs. I have 2 nephews that are a year old. She gets along really well with kids. But recently I took her to a dog park and I took her to the dog beach, and she did, and without Maverick. And she does this really weird snappy thing where she doesn't bite any dogs that or anything like that, but she bites the air and a stay away thing. And that was not cool. And so that was a huge concern for me because that's just very much not who she's been for the last year and a half. Mm-hmm. And so I don't love that. Let me see what else. I took her to doggy daycare and she freaked out before going inside when dogs were barking and hid under a car.
Okay, so before bringing her in, she freaked out, or she freaked out when she was going in?
So I took her out of the car and everything was fine. And then she heard a bunch of dogs barking at the front door and got out of her harness and hid under a car.
Okay.
And so basically I've seen all of these behaviors only when she's not with my other dog. And so I'm not sure if there's a correlation. I'm not good at this. And so my biggest thing is my goal, I'm a counselor and I wanted her to be a therapy dog. And so my main thing is obedience, but I also want her to be a more confident dog in new situations, especially without Maverick, because Maverick's really old. And so he's not going to be, as much as I want him to be around forever, he's not. And so I want to kind of nip these behaviors in the butt and, give her, not be scared of taking her to places that she really wants to be and get more comfortable in.
Yeah. Anything else that you know about Hope?
Let me see. Like I said, she just has she freaked out at the vet too. Just she's alone without Maverick and we're in new situations. She started and she's seen the vet before, but things like that, all of a sudden, kind of out of the blue, 16 months in, she started getting weird about. But I think that's for the most part it. She's never had any, she's never gotten a dog fight or been she plays with babies, she's 0. And on leashes, she's fine. These behaviors don't happen when we're walking or doing anything or at dog, on leash at dog parks. It was literally bringing her to a situation where there's just a ton of dogs off leash that did it.
What happened at the vet? Like you said, she freaked out. What did that look like? Or
she hid under a chair and I had to physically pick her up to get her to come back to get her temperature taken.
Okay. And then has she been to the vet with Maverick before?
No, I mean, she's always done this was the first time we've gone into the vet together.
Okay.
Because COVID was drive up and they came to your car and grabbed them and they never reported any of those issues, but the most recent time that happened. Okay. And then a month later, the dog going to doggy daycare, that happened. And I was like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. She's very out of nowhere, super timid in those new situations.
Okay. And then has she been to a dog park with Maverick before?
No, but Maverick's not a dog park dog.
Okay.
he's not aggressive, but he's lazy and like old and doesn't care about dogs.
Okay. So which one of these situations has happened, like, how do I say? So the vet, she hasn't been there with Maverick.
Mm-mm.
The dog park, she's never been with Maverick. And then the other one was daycare. Has she ever been to a daycare with Maverick or no?
Mm-mm.
Uh,
I feel like it's like new adventures or times that I take her without him to like new situations.
okay. Where have you taken her that was brand new, where she was with Maverick and she was fine, or has that ever happened? Or
Yeah, I mean, she's fine on like patios and things like that. She's a little hyperactive. I don't have like the obedient control where she'll sit and like stay for good. She like gets excited and I don't have that. So that's also something I definitely want to work on. But
yo,
she's never done the nip thing or like the hide thing in any other situation.
okay. And then has she ever been to a dog? You said she's been to dog parks before?
She was as a puppy. And then I moved back to the city and I just hadn't, we'd gone to like parks, but not off leash because I don't trust her off leash.
Okay.
But when I took her to an off leash dog park a little bit ago, that happened. And then it happened at the dog beach too.
Okay. So looks like, because when puppies are, they're puppies, so like usually at like 6 months to like a year and a half maybe is when they start becoming who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you haven't been to a dog park recently, and the beach it was in the summer, right?
Yeah, it wasn't at the most crowded because it was like early morning,
Oh,
but there was enough dogs for her.
yeah, usually usually in the summer, was it Montrose?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Usually in the summer, Montrose can get pretty crazy. I've been there. I've seen a lot I've seen a few dog fights happen there, and then I think like people were having picnics. I don't know why, and then they were like kind of just like yelling at the dogs because they were getting their food. So I was just very confused.
Yeah, it's a
So
place.
yeah, so um, it could be a few things. Just her coming into her, just becoming who she is, and just like, I don't like this, um, this environment. It's too crazy for me because here at our daycare, it's not play, play, play.
Mhm.
We don't put dogs into play right away. It's a process of them getting used to like the dogs and then the environment. So new environment, hasn't been to a dog park recently. All these dogs getting in her face. So it could be it could be those things like, my dog was very social as a puppy, and then all of a sudden she's just like, nah, no more. And then that's when she became an adult. She's like, I don't like this energy anymore. She just became mature and just didn't tolerate it.
Mhm.
Certain dogs, she's picky, whatever. But yeah, for Hope, it's nothing out of the ordinary, and it makes sense. In other words, so for example, we had a dog that was at a daycare, and she was snapping at dogs.
Mhm.
The reason she was snapping at dogs is because dogs have on switches and off switches. Some dogs don't. Some dogs, if you let them play all the time, they're
Mhm.
wired.
Yeah.
They're always on, and then if you don't give them a break, they're wired. So then they go home wired. But here we give them breaks. But this dog wanted a break, didn't get the break, and then since they let her play all day, the dog still wanted to play with her, but she was done. So snap, snap, snap.
Mhm.
Daycare's like, we can't keep her. We don't know what's wrong with her. She's aggressive. She was not aggressive. So
Yeah.
here, it's very controlled. So since she is so used to dogs getting in her face and annoying her and snapping, she started snapping here right away, without just right off the bat. So then we start correcting this behavior, like, you don't do that,
Yeah.
right? If this dog's bothering you, we'll help you. We'll figure that out. But you don't snap. You don't take care of it. We take care of it.
Mhm.
Then once we start correcting the behavior, she's like, okay, well, if I can't snap and these dogs aren't really like bothering me, and like, the handlers are, vouching for me. So who are these dogs? And then she started playing like on her 5th day of the board and train program. I think she started playing.
Okay.
And we haven't had her snap since. So she's a regular now. She comes to daycare all the time, and she's very good here. So it sounds like she just needs like a proper introduction to like a play area, play group. And you're correct. She is a little insecure because I know what that looks like. That the snapping at the air, like little, like sometimes it'll also whine, a cry, like, bah, 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 right?
Yeah.
I know I've seen that. Yeah. And then the vet.
She'll even wag sometimes. And she's the dog that like when I take her to my family, like she's the annoying dog that I have to give a time out because all she wants to do is play. And so that's where I'm like, I want to take her to dog parks because all she ever wants to do is play. And now it's like this counterproductive thing where I take her home to like Maverick, who like doesn't play ever. He never has. He's like a Great Dane mix and he's never played and doesn't ever want to play. And so like I'm stuck.
Yeah. So to fix, it's hard because if you wanted to fix that at the dog park, it'd just be difficult because we don't know what the other dog will do if she snaps at them good. Like if she really gets them, what is that dog going to do? So it's very hard to kind of control that in setting there, because if you're trying to, if she's getting annoyed by another dog, the only thing you can do is leash up your dog and just like try to avoid that dog. You can't like push that dog away, because then it always be like, what are you doing to my dog? Or it's going to be a weird thing.
So I don't know if this changes anything, but the last time we went, there was one dog, and it was like an instant thing. Like
snapping? Or they
like
play?
The second the dog came up to her, immediately she did the snap in the air thing. Like she wasn't tired. There was no like this dog all over her. Like it was literally like immediate defense, like as opposed to where she's usually submissive and like greets dogs by rolling over. She like started doing this snap thing instead.
How did the dog approach her?
Fine. Like they were playing. The only thing is the dog was playing fetch. And so but like not in, like the dog was a very socialized dog, like very well behaved.
Okay. How did he approach Hope? Like did he run at her, or like was it like what did it look like?
Walk, like a slow walk to greet.
Okay. It could have been that, just because like it depends, because for us, a lot of dogs in the city, when we hear issues, they meet like this.
Yeah.
This is confrontational. Like just like the simple walk to a dog is confrontational, and then if they meet like this, it's awkward. And if she's insecure, she's like, don't do that, and then she'll snap.
Okay.
So it could have been that
one made sense because she was playing frisbee and catch frisbee in the water, and then the dog like tried to take her frisbee, which.
Oh wait, say that again.
The dog park one, she did the exact same thing.
Yes.
To the dog in the water, but that dog did nothing, and the one in the water was like coming to take the frisbee.
Okay, so Hope had the frisbee?
Yeah.
Hope had the frisbee.
And the dog came to like play tug of war with her, and she did like the like drop it and then did like biting the air.
Oh, so that could have been resource guarding.
Yeah. It's just weird. Like she doesn't do that with dogs she knows, right? Like that's my concern, is like she acts very different to stranger dogs than she does to like the 7 dogs that she sees.
Yeah, it's like humans.
Right. It's her pack. And she's like, she's also like a very pack dog. Like when we go on walks with the other dogs, if I pause to like pick up her poop or do something like that and the other dogs walk, she cries and freaks out and wants to join them. So she's not good by herself.
Yeah, it's like humans, like Jesse will use these examples, like, your brothers, your sisters, if you live with them, and then you have like a fridge, and then they go down, or like, they can take food from your fridge and everything like that. But then like you have like, you invite your friend for the first time over, and then they immediately go in your fridge and start looking, and they're like, whoa, dude, like this is our first time hanging out. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Just the same thing for that. Like, it's just, it's a common thing where like, if my dog should play with everyone, right? Yeah. Which is not true. It's just like some humans. Like I don't say hi to every single person on the street. I don't like, hey, how are you? Like I don't start asking questions. It's just like, maybe like head nod and I move forward, or like if not, or not acknowledge them at all. It's just like how it is. And then you know, or like with people who are shy, meeting new people for the first time, but then like you see them how different they are when they're with their families, like how they talk, even like the tone of voice. Like someone told me that um I have a different tone when I talk to my friends, but then they heard me talking to my mom one time and I sounded like my tone was like higher or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But
my
I'm thinking
students.
like
I was a school counselor, and my students called me out on that.
that.
They're like,
Yeah.
your voice got really high talking to my parents, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So to me, I find that normal. Obviously, we can, to a degree, disagree with her behavior of like that. But then the snapping at the frisbee while she has a frisbee could have been um, either one, this is my frisbee, you don't approach me with my toy,
Mhm.
or just you're entering my space. I don't like that. Get away. It's me and mom time maybe. So it depends if the first time she took her to the dog park, if she had a toy, did she have a toy or it was just by herself?
No, like I said, it was I like it had happened after the dog like the frisbee incident. So like I asked the person dog park, and I was like, we haven't done a dog park in a while. It is okay if we like just like walk around it and whatever. Like I still had her on leash. I don't know if that had anything to do with it too, but I was just like, that was a weird thing at the beach. Um, so I even keel like brought her in there
Oh,
too.
so you were playing frisbee. She got the frisbee. Dog approached her. She snapped at the dog, and then you leashed her up. He leashed his dog up.
Oh
And
no, sorry, the two different incidents. I just
oh,
threw the frisbee away from the dog, and we kept playing just like off by ourselves.
oh,
At the
what
beach.
happened with the dog that you were walking around with?
uh, that was a dog park.
Mhm.
Sorry. So at the
Oh,
dog park, there was only one dog there, and I told the owner and was like, "We're not used to dog parks. Like, is it okay if we like if I bring her on a leash and just like say hi and just see how the interaction goes?" Um, and she, like I said, like we walked in together, and the dog came over, and she immediately did like the like snap air
oh, okay, okay. And then she was on leash or off leash?
on leash.
On leash. Okay. Um, so that could be a reason as well.
Okay.
Plus she had the frisbee there, but for
No
that,
talk.
dogs have certain responses: fight, flight, avoidance, or submission.
Mhm.
So flight has been taken away since she's leashed. Submission can't happen just because she doesn't. It's just like she's more in like fight mode because of the situation and then how they're approaching her. She's
Okay.
like, I can't run. I'm not going to submit. I'm not going to avoid. I can't avoid because I'm on leash, so I had to fight. So snap, 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 get away from me.
Okay.
That could have been the reason there, as what I'm getting. Um, and then so for the daycare stuff, it could have been like an energy thing of like dogs barking, new place, new person approaching you, trying to get hope, maybe. Is
Yeah.
that what happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then her being on a harness kind of makes it more difficult since harnesses are actually used for pulling. So dogs have what is called opposition reflex.
It's the lower one. I don't know if that helps, but it's the underneath harness.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's technically the same thing, especially for if they back up. So if you pull back, they pull forward. If you pull forward, they pull back, left, right, and the right and left. So
Right.
like huskies, carriages, or not carriages, horses, they wear harnesses. We also use harness protection training for dogs to create aggression. So this here is negative tension. So uh, for protection training, what we do is pull back and release, pull back and release, and we're creating frustration. Once we created enough frustration, we'll see aggression. Once we see that, take the leash off, and then they go and fight the person in the suit or whatever.
Okay.
So that could be another thing. She's trying to get away. You're hitting the harness, trying to pull her back forward, but she's like, okay, I got to go more back because this is pulling me forward, so go back.
Mhm.
And then harnesses, I've seen them flip out, and then she'll flip out like that probably, and then hit under a car. Did she end up ever going inside the daycare or?
Yeah. And then she went 2 days, and she was better the second day.
Okay, that's
but
good.
I didn't look, it's not a structured daycare, and they never gave like a real report. So I was like, was she fine? Like, did she snap at dogs? Like, I don't know.
Okay.
They said she was fine, but like, I don't know how she would have been fine when she does those things in different spaces.
Yeah. Um, so you've only been there 2 times?
I went 2 times, and then I was just like, I don't know if she actually is fine.
Okay. And then they never said anything?
They never said she did anything, but I'm just like, if that's also where I'm like, am I the problem? I don't know.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's where I want to learn and do better too. And so I'm just like, I need an expert to come in, at least like get a feel for her, see what's maybe going on in new situations, and like that knows how to handle those situations where like I don't, and I'm not good. Like I get really nervous at dog parks, and she probably knows my nervous energy just because I'm like, I don't understand how these dogs interact like this together and are fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to tell if they haven't reported anything if she did well or not. But it's normal for dogs to be that way on the first day, just because it's a new environment, and it's new people, new smells, new people approaching her and everything. And then especially with those doggy daycares that if they're not structured well, you just hear all the barking. It's just a bunch of crazy.
Yes, and that's what it was.
Yeah. And then some dogs don't like that. Okay, and then I have your patio stuff. So, like you said, it's just kind of like obedience there, just like giving her a command, don't move for an hour, which we can definitely do. So, what else? Anything else?
I mean, like I said, I want her to be a therapy dog. And so that's where I'm just like, if this is a behavior we can fix, or if this is behavior that doesn't necessarily need to be fixed, but like can be worked on and managed from like an obedience perspective, I'm okay with that too. Like, I want her to play with dogs and have fun because I think that's fun. But if she doesn't, that's fine. I just like want to, like I said, I'm a counselor. I want her to like, I got a lab because I was like, therapy dog, they'll be great and everything. And I'm like, okay, reach back.
Yeah. So your priority is the obedience. You'd like her to play with dogs, but if she doesn't want to, and that's correct. If Hope is like, I don't like the dog park, then that's like, well, the only thing we can do is just make her, like I said, it's difficult for dog parks, but those dogs just don't really understand social cues, and they're just like play.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, at the end of the day, if she's not a fan of it, then we can't make a dog like something if they don't like it.
Right.
Same thing with humans. Like you can't, like I don't. What do I?
I don't like a lot of people.
Exactly. Yes.
Like,
Or even like foods or like sports or like I mean, I could be there, but I'm not gonna like it. Like that's
right.
all.
Yeah.
Which
but
is
if I can get her to at least be able to play fetch at not a dog park, but at a park, and ignore others, right? Like that's also like, that would be just as like, that's perfect. Like that's what I really want to be able to do, is like, if she can ignore them and not be in like an enclosed space, like perfect. If I have like that control, that's what I'm looking for.
Sure. Cool. So yeah, I just kind of broke down everything what I've been hearing. All of it sounds normal and in the context makes sense. What else? Cool. And then you still currently walk Hope on a harness, right?
Yes.
Okay. So like I said, with the harness, we'll have to actually get rid of that just because of and it's a training tool technically, but it's used for other things. And to create like how is she on the walks besides like in stressful situations, like it's like just a normal walk, is she fine, or like
She's a really good normal walker, but she's very motivated with treats. And so if I like stop doing treats after a few walks, she regresses.
and what does that look like? Like the regression, like pulling?
Yeah, she'll like diagonal pull, do not be focused on me, but focused on everything else. the biggest thing with walks is she loves like greeting dogs and she's not like reactive to dogs, but she like the second she like sees a squirrel, she's like crazy about like like that spot. So if she saw a squirrel like in one tree, one walk, she'll be like hyper focused the next walk on that same spot.
Oh, okay. And then with the dog, is she just like focused on that? That's all. Just like
Yeah, she like sometimes she'll lay down and want to play with them, or like she does that every once in a while and it's a little embarrassing. Or like she like wants to go by them essentially. She doesn't like bark or do anything like that, but like I don't have like I couldn't walk with her off leash or she would clearly dart in lots of places.
Yeah. Yeah, in those situations, like when dogs lay down and then you're pulling them with the harness, it's very hard to move the dog from that with the harness, or like forward if they're stuck on a squirrel behind them or other things like that. So like we have the positive only, which is like the food stuff, right? Like you said, it's the food. She's very food driven, but then once the food isn't there, then we're lost. Or like when a dog sees a squirrel and then you have the hand, the dog can be like, I'll get the food later, but like this squirrel, I don't know if I'll get this later, so I'm gonna treat the squirrel. So then you get that. So then it's a lot of owners are dedicated to it and they'll keep doing it, but then it takes like if at all like years to kind of get like major progress with it and a lot of consistency. But then at the same time it could be discouraging for some owners because then it's like this is it can just get annoying for them as well, because like what if one day you run out of food, or like maybe like one day Hope's like, nah, I don't want to eat today, and then you're stuck, right?
Yes.
So that's positive only, and for us, positive only is it's good for things we want to see. So like puppies, we'll use food for puppies, or like adding like some obedient like tricks in here. There, positive only is good, but again, it has a very low ceiling. And then so yeah, that's where that is. And then we have other training tools like gentle leader. Gentle leader is good control, but it's not it doesn't correct behavior. So like if she started laying down, most you can do is just keep moving, and then she'll eventually have to move, because if you control the head, you control the body.
Yeah.
But she'll keep doing it until you move her, so it doesn't really fix the problem. Same thing with squirrels, that sometimes dogs don't care about the potential, and they'll keep trying to force their head to turn and everything like that. But it's a good step forward just because it allows you to have more control. Then we also have like prong collars. Do you know what prong collars are? The spiky.
Yeah, Maverick has a prong collar.
Yeah. It's a good step forward because now you're able to correct your dog for those behaviors. So if they're not moving and you keep moving, the prong collar will eventually start closing and apply consequence, and then they'll give in. Sometimes, usually with like labs and like Goldens, or like any dog who's like obsessed with something, sometimes prong collar isn't enough. So a lot of owners will be like, yeah, we tried the prong collar, but it they dial down a little bit, but they're still very intense about like reactivity, or like squirrels, or like they're overstimulated, so like their noses up to the ground, swinging everything. They're very distracted. It's still not working, but it does give them control at more control than like the other tools would. But the behavior part, they're still reactive. They're still doing their thing. So prong collar again is supposed to mimic a dog bite. It's very physical, so it's their language. They understand it right off the bat. Issue is like again, it's close to a dog bite, but no tool will match the power of a dog bite. So, your strongest leash pop with the prong could be a 7, but then if she's at a 10, which is a squirrel, you're never going to override the brain in that moment. And that's just what it comes down to. Then, like you said, once for prong collar, again, you can get good obedience with it, but then once you take that leash off the prong, you've lost all control.
Right.
So those are like the pros and cons for prong collar. Good control, it's a good step forward, but then again, if they're very gone or very distracted, sometimes it doesn't work. And then the next tool would be e-collar. you have any questions about any of the tools or anything else? Or and then you're aware that we do train econ and everything, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense.
Cool. So what do you know about e-collar? Do you know e-collar?
Yes. I don't know which brand you use, but I understand like the Skinner method and like the idea that like you need to, that's to, when they're doing something they're not supposed to do, they have to have a negative reinforcement to get then the positive of like the release of it when they do what's right. Like I understand like the training method and like the psychology behind it. I don't know like which one you guys use, or
Yeah,
I know it's not like painful, but it's a discomfort to get the absence of the behavior.
correct. What you said is the pressure on, pressure off concept. So like pressure work. So like you're gonna feel this, but then once you do it, it goes away. So then the dog's like, oh, that's all I have to do. So that is how we train. So the brand we use is Dogtra. And then like you said, it's not painful, but it can be uncomfortable. So have you ever been to like a chiropractor, like a physical therapist?
I haven't.
They use a machine called like a TENS unit or like STEM,
Okay.
like form muscles. That same technology is what's on our e-collars. So it's just like a muscle contractor. The way they kind of go about it with their clients is very similar to the way we train dogs. So they'll say, let me know when it's too uncomfortable. As they raise the levels, client will say, okay, that's enough. They lower it 2 levels down and they let the machine do its work. That same way is very similar to how we train dogs and how we find their number. Because on our collars, our numbers go all the way to 127. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 127. There are other brands out there that maybe go to 10. So think of 10 and 127, the power equal. We have so many more numbers to be more specific to the personality, the situation, the breed. So like the issue with the 10 level e-collars, 5 could get Hope yelping is too high, but then 4 isn't enough. She's just ignoring it. So then you're stuck. 5 or 4, you're either having your dog yelping every time you tap the button, or they're just not listening. So then you're stuck. For us, if 50 is too high, for example, or 40 is too low, 45 or 42 or 43, we can be very nuanced with it. They're waterproof. They have I think a mile to a half-mile long range. I'm pretty sure it's a mile, so you have a lot of range with it. You have there's no batteries in it, so it's rechargeable. They last a very long time. It's very easy to use. You have the collar, you have the remote. There's only like 4 buttons on it, so it's very simple, nothing fancy. As there's other ones that go like, push this button to go to 5 levels higher, then it gets confusing.
Yeah.
What else about the e-collars? So it's like the collar, and like they have 2 contact points, right? It's electric, but it's not electricity. So like I said, it's not flowing to the dog's body. Whatever the 2 contact points are touching is what you'll see like moving. So if I was carrying the collar here, and the 2 contact points were on my hand, you eventually, as I keep going higher, you'll start to see my thumb move, right? Okay. So same thing with the dogs. It's usually like on hot, very high in the neck, and then like when you get to a certain number, you might see like a little twitch like on the neck right here.
Got it. It's like a muscle contraction type of situation. Okay.
Any questions about the e-collar?
I don't think so.
So for Hope, we usually, the first command we teach is called heel. So our heel is like the walking command. So it's walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. So if you take 5 steps, with Hope, she takes 5 steps. If you take 10, she takes 10. If you come to a stop, she will automatically sit on your left side consistently with her right shoulder parallel with her left leg, loose leash in any environment. That's how strict our heel is.
Okay.
So the idea behind it is that it's so strict that nothing else matters, because she needs to be like, where am I? I need to be right here, because if I'm not, this goes off. I don't like it. So this is the answer, right? So that's why, reactivity starts to dip when we teach the heel. Even though we're not addressing reactivity, we're teaching a command that's like, whoa, this is pretty serious. And then like, the seeing dogs, seeing the squirrels, that's all being addressed at like the same time which you heal. Because once you get distracted, this is going to start to go off. So it's like looking at a ghost. Are you going to really just pay attention to something that's not doing anything, or this that's physical and it's real and it's touching you? The reason, also another reason why we get so much success with e-collar training is because of the physicality. It's their language, it's physical, right? So, like Hope, like dogs are approaching her space, she doesn't like it, snap, snap, snap. Dog's like, okay, I'm gonna go the other way.
Yep.
Same thing here. There's no words needed. It's just you're feeling this is a consequence, because dogs are very like, here's the action, there's the consequence for that action. So that's another reason why we get so much success and why it's a lot of progress, again, because it's their language. Again, with this tool, you'll never physically, psychologically mess up your dog, right? There's a lot of room for error. And like I said before, you'll never match the power of a dog bite. But this tool can get you really close to it, probably the closest tool there. Any questions so far?
Do you think with the fact that she's like a little skittish in weird situations, that it will take her a lot of time with the e-collar to like actually, like, you know what I mean? To like start the training process with it, to get over like the fear piece. You know what I mean? Like, have you seen dogs that are like skittish react in like a weird way with it?
Yeah, so there's a good video to watch. Oh, yeah, Luna. So there's a in-person client on YouTube. Her name's Luna. And first, I think the consultation, she did not come out the car because she was afraid.
Okay.
And person will look at that dog and be like, why would you do e-collar training with a dog that's afraid of the world? So another wonderful thing about e-collar is that when this goes off, so let's say Hope doesn't want to move, and this is going off because we need her to move, then it's going to go up and up and up, and eventually she'll go, okay, she's thinking she made that decision. She's like, this is getting annoying, I gotta move forward. Oh, that's all. So we make dogs think that they're making a choice. So once they make a choice, they're realizing, oh, that's all I had to do. So for dogs who are like timid and like fearful, there is a hump that we need to kind of get over. Once we get over this hump, you'll start to see the dog like be super confident. I had an in-person client, because the Luna is with Jesse. I had an in-person client where the dog, like first day, the dog was like pulling away from me and was just like, no, because she didn't like men. Okay. And then you'll see how confident she gets. And like even the owner was like, wow, she's just like super different, like super confident. And then my client did a 6-week program, squished into 4 weeks.
Okay.
So that's how, and we started seeing progress by third lesson. We noticed like a big change. Second lesson, because like which you'll see her, because this is no one likes being disappointed, right? This is a stressor. So dogs who have anxiety, or they're flighty or something, right? They start to feel this, they're going to give us their stress response. So if Hope's stress response is flight, we're going to see that, right? E-collar isn't making your dog flighty or nervous. That's the response we're getting from the dog just because they're stressed.
Yeah.
So again, once we get over that hump, letting them know, hey, there's no reason to be like this. It's just walk with us, or just respond. Then they're like, oh, okay. What else? So like I said, we have seen that before. We have trained fearful, nervous, aggressive, blind, deaf, all types of dogs with e-collar. But to answer your question, how long it will take, it's depends, because it's like exposure, just getting used to having the e-collar on, and it's just kind of depending on Hope, really, and how consistent everything is. What else? Any other questions? But I recommend watching
I watched a lot of videos.
Yeah.
I will say.
Did you come across Luna maybe or not really? It
I
might have
think
been.
there was one that I was watching, but I think it was you, not Jesse, and it said like skittish dog. I don't know which one it was, but there was another skittish dog situation.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll come to those from time to time.
And she's not always. It's like weird things. Like she's not skittish around people, but like I just found out recently I put like the fan above my oven on and she like hid under a table. So it's like really weird shit that like all of a sudden she's like the psycho about. But like not the fire alarm, like not storms, but like the fan above the oven. I don't know. She's weird. She's great, but weird.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I guess like recommendations, like what
Program?
Yeah, like when I like from what you've heard, like what do you think makes the most sense and what's realistic and what's like not in terms of like what I like ideal state of hope?
We'll always recommend in person.
Yeah.
I'll go through the programs, pros and cons. In person, pros and cons is pros, you're learning more because it's all hands-on. The trainers don't touch the dogs, as you've seen in the videos. We never touch the dog. We're coaching, verbally coaching, like the handlers telling them what to do. So you're learning how to, you're starting from the beginning and you're doing all the work. You're learning how to kind of get over situations with hope, and like what to do when maybe she gets like maybe during a lesson, because over the weekend there's like the jets going about outside. So maybe like something happens similar to that where like we haven't had, our dogs during our sessions didn't freak out when the jets were going above us. So it was fine. But maybe something happens and then she freaks out. Like we can walk you through it very easily. We're there and helping you. And we have our lessons. Pretty sure you've seen this as well at Oz Park. We operate at Oz Park because everything is there. Dogs, bike, rollerbladers, roller skates, baseball games, off-leash dogs, everything is there. So if you can change at Oz Park, I'm pretty sure you can pretty much do anywhere. Cons, it just takes longer because our programs go 6 week, 9 week, and a 12 week. 6 week, think of the 6 week as I walk my dog around the block, I play fetch, I need recall, and I go home. And then this walk around the block or walk wherever is structured. There's no distractions. It's just a nice, straightforward, just walk to the park. You play fetch, recall, we go home, and that's all. The 9 week program, which is what you might be wanting, is all those things. And then you take your dogs to patios and you stay down. They stay down for an hour, 2 hours, however longer at the patio. The 12 week is all those things, plus like maybe you go like off-leash hiking every other weekend and you need like more control and more work. Like, recall of deer or like, emergency commands and stuff like that. So again, it does take longer than the board and train and daycare and train. Everything is recorded for you. What else? Any questions about the in-person?
I don't think so.
Board and train, you leave your dog here overnight with us for 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, or 4 week. Think of the 4 week equal to the 12-week program.
Okay.
You most likely be like in like the 2 week or maybe 3 week program. I have to check what would work best for you just to make sure. But board and train, let's say you went to the 2 week program, you get 2 videos, 4 hours of follow-up, and that's all that comes with it. But these videos, the first video is called the foundational lessons. So you're seeing me, most likely me, put the e-collar on the dog, teaching heel, stay, sit, down, place, and come when called. All 6 commands. Place is like go to your bed, don't move, and then come when called is like the recall. You're seeing me train these commands for the first time. You're seeing how Hope took to the e-collar for the first time, the commands for the first time. And then the week 2 is like the long leash phase where we give her 30 feet to make mistakes. Like if we work with a 30-foot long leash, how the commands apply there. We also kind of see a glimpse of her progress from that week 1. It's the play of dogs. So while she's here, we can work on socialization with her. She'll be doing duration work here. So she'll be on the place command. She'll have to stay on the bed for like an hour. We'll teach her how to do it for an hour to 2 hours. What else? We do kennel our dogs overnight, so she'll be kenneled. Is she kennel trained or?
She was. I haven't used a kennel in a long time, but she was. She used to be in it a lot, and she was fine with it. She kind of liked small spaces.
Nice. So she'll be in the crates if she's not training or working on duration or playing in play groups. And we'll also teach her how to walk on a treadmill. We have treadmills here as well.
She's done it. She walks on treadmills.
Nice. So she'll continue that here. And then we'll also take her on training walks. So we have very lucky to have a Home Depot and a PetSmart. So I don't know if you're aware, but you can take dogs to Home Depot.
Yeah.
So we take our dogs to Home Depot for the training walks because, it's good that they're good here with the training, but if we can apply it to real world situations, what's the point of it, right?
Yeah.
So we need to start, we'll do training walks with her to Home Depot and PetSmart, just getting her used to having these commands applied to real world scenarios at Home Depot and then on the walks. Pros and cons for the board and train. The training is tied to us at first. So a lot of clients will ask, well, if my dog's being a board and train, like what if, because like we've had situations with clients like, yeah, I took my dog to like a trainer, but then every time the trainer came, he was good, trainer left, bad. So they were struggling there. E-collar is very transferable. So like when we work with couples, like partners or more than one person, partner number 1 goes first. They do all the hard work because they're going first. This is for a one-on-one in-person program. Partner number 2 goes and it's super easy, right? Because when I press the button on 30 and you press the button on 30, it's still 30. There's no, she's stronger than me or she's more stricter than him or he's stronger than her, all these other things. It's 30 is 30 for everyone, right? So there's none of that.
Yeah.
So with the 4 hours of follow-up, what we're doing here is transferring all the commands to you and teaching you how to use the commands, teaching you what to do in certain situations where she starts to get a little nervous or maybe she starts to freak out maybe. We'll walk you through those. And these follow-up lessons still happen at Oz Park. So you still get that Oz Park experience there.
Okay.
Daycare and train is very similar to board and train, except you just drop her off in the morning. She gets trained, she gets to the play, she does all the daycare activities like board and train. But then you pick her up at the end of the day and then you bring her back the following day or like whatever your schedule is like that. You still get videos. It goes 5, 10, 15, 20. Think of the 20-day program equal to the 4-week board and train program as well as the 12-week in-person program.
Okay.
Any questions about the programs?
I guess for my biggest, what my biggest thing, but one of the things is the socialization pieces, which is why I'm just like, I feel like taking me out of the picture is a good thing for her to work on that with trained professionals. So like my gut reaction was board and train, but do you guys ever do a combination of board and train and like daycare train? I'm only saying that because she's never been without me or Maverick.
Oh, so
the idea for I don't know if she'll do well, overnight without any company.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So
does it transfer if we notice that she just is not handling nighttime well?
So you're asking if she does board and train program, what if she's not good at night here?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's someone here 24/7. The
Okay.
facility, it's me. So I can hear all the dogs barking. Usually for the first time when dogs are kenneled here, because we have the main area and the boarding area,
Mhm.
kennels in these quiet rooms and everything. Since it's like for her first 3 days, maybe she might be kenneled out here in front of my room, so I
Okay.
can hear anything going on. And then since she's being trained with us, if we're having any issues, we'll go ahead and use the ECOG, correction of behavior, see what that gets us. Um, and then for the daycare and train, I mean, we've had one client had to split it up. So she did 1 week board and train, and then the rest, and then she did a 2 week board and train. After the 1 week, she came home from her vacation early, and then the remaining week was just daycare and train. Like she's done that before. I'm not sure if like I think that was just like in the moment. I don't know if we could offer it. I don't know. Does that answer your question? Is that what you're kind of?
Yeah, I think my thing is like it makes me nervous to like have her away, but I think she needs it.
Mhm.
Um, and so I guess I was just wondering like if she's like clearly not doing well or like acting funky because of it, like is there the ability to like change up the plan a tiny bit?
Yeah. So it depends how serious it is. If it's to the point where she's not eating, drinking water for more than 3 days, maybe 4 days, then it's like it could become like a health risk,
Yeah.
because he's like, you know, it can be serious.
Yeah.
So that happens, we keep track of stuff. So if the dog doesn't eat, we update it on our website, or like the program that the boarding and daycare clients use called Ginger. So
Mhm.
you'll get an email, they not eat breakfast, the date. They not eat dinner, the date. And then if we keep start seeing this, okay, well, this is something that needs to be addressed, or
Mhm.
this is not going to work.
Okay.
It only happened once with our boarding trains, and
Okay.
then he got sent home, came back, and then started eating. I don't know. It's very funny.
Yeah.
So if it's stuff like that, then that's something where we need to contact you and we need to figure something out.
Okay.
But if it's like she's just getting anxious, I don't think there's anything to worry about there, because then, like I said, it's normal for dogs to come here. Again, new place, new smell, new dogs, new people. She's also getting trained. So it's like a whole bunch of new things. So it's normal to see these things happen. If you want to see how she is before you do the board and train, you can do the 3-day evaluation process where she kind of comes in for a day of daycare. Um, so our eval process goes: first day, no socializations. All she is getting is walks with our handlers and me around the facility, getting used to this facility and getting used to the handlers.
Okay.
Second day is we start. One sec. Oh, let's see here. You got it? So what was I saying? Oh, day two. Day two is same process, but now we're introducing her to dogs. Smells. They're only smelling each other. We have a like a butt sniffing exercise we do with the dogs. And we do
Okay.
all types of different dogs, like um, um, not intact males, females, little dogs, big dogs, seeing what she is comfortable with, or if she's comfortable with all the dogs, that's great. And then third day is we try to use one of those same exact dogs she was comfortable with, and then we let them in the playpen together, still on leash, seeing what they're kind of doing, two handlers in there. And then if we see she seems comfortable, we'll let the leashes drag, have them play a little bit, and then we'll take the leashes off, and then slowly start adding dogs in the playgroup to see how she is.
Okay.
So you can do that if it'll make you feel, if it brings you comfort to kind of see how she is at first with the facility. Then if we find out that she's very comfortable,
Yeah.
then the boarding and the training should go a little smoother.
Okay.
But again, if you can still go straight into the board and train, because what that is doing is, like, if she is stressed in the kennel, we can address that behavior via e-collar or anything like that,
Yeah.
because you're paying us to do that stuff. So
Okay.
it's up to you. There's no preference. There's no right or wrong answer there.
Okay. This is like probably why she's like a weirdo, but like, does she get like a lot of love? Like, are you guys like great, like in terms of like giving affection and stuff to dogs too? Like, it's not just like kennel and like done, right? Like, I don't know, like there's, you know what I'm saying, kind of.
Yeah. So for, let's say she does the evaluation, we're not that affection because
It's training.
with, well, it's for training, it's different because we're balance trainers, right? So if we're only doing discipline,
Yeah.
it can get, it can be too much. So we need to add positive. So if that's petting, we pet dogs,
Yeah.
we'll give treats, we'll do our thing to make it balanced. But for the most part, we don't kind of like huddle with them. We don't like scrap and just like give them, belly scratch or anything like that. That's not our job. Our job is to watch these dogs and care for them and be structured. Because what can happen is the reason why we have so much structure here is because we are just caring. We're not, coddling dogs. Because if we coddle one dog will, they literally see you doing that. And they're like, oh, this guy corrected me earlier for whining in the kennel, but he's petting a dog. He didn't mean it then. Okay, I understand this guy. I know this guy now. So another reason we don't do it. But like I said, we don't. Oh, but yes, we are balanced, and we do give that positive method with our training and everything. Our activity and our rest. So it could be, and then training as well. So that's how our day goes. What else? Any other questions?
I think so. I think it's just like one of those things where I'm like, she's very much like a family dog. And so it's hard to like, just, I don't know. It's scary for me to think of, like, I just want like, yes, the structure, but just make sure like there's the positivity and like the attention as well.
Yeah.
Not cuddling on a couch and things like that, but like there's like the affection in the training piece.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So we do that. But then again, like if we also be mindful when we're doing that, because if for example, dog is stressed, owners petting the dog, like maybe they're whining or being anxious, they pet the dog, like it's okay. That's actually incorrect. When you put a dog in that state, you're telling them, yes, be stressed, yes, be anxious. So you actually wouldn't want to give affection.
Yeah.
So for the first few days, if she's like that, we probably avoid that. And then once she starts to settle down and like become more settled, then we can start introducing affection. Also, what was I going to say? Or maybe that was what I was going to say. I'm trying to think. Any other questions?
I know there's that portal. Do you guys give updates?
Yes. It'll be through me. So I'll send you emails and everything, what happened, like, how her first day went. And then you'll get those videos sent to you as well. What else? Any other questions?
What's the timeline in terms of availability?
We have availability now. 2 boarding trains left right now. We have one currently. We're getting, I think, 2 more, I think, but we have availability. Dropping Hope off on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday would be your best bet, because that's when I'm there. So if you drop her off on a Thursday, I'm not there, and then she technically would be able to get trained till Saturday, maybe.
Okay.
Like a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday would be your best date of arrival.
Got
And what else? Bringing, like I said before, food. She might not eat for the first two days, which is normal.
Okay.
After that, if it's more, if it's like 5 more days or more, then it's something that we need to talk about. What else? Any other questions?
I don't think so.
So after this email, I'll forward all the information we talked about to my assistant Tina.
Okay.
Tina is new, so just being patient with her, and then she'll send you an email. The programs we talked about, pricings, the e-collar I recommend for Hope and
Mhm.
you. Now you can buy this e-collar on your own if you want through Amazon, or we also sell them here. So if you want to just, you know, bring your dog, we pull it off the shelf,
Yep.
we're all good. Same price and everything. For our collars, 30 days. If there's like a malfunction, like when you take it home,
Mhm.
we'll deal with Dogtra and we'll borrow you a collar. After those 30 days, you would have to contact Dogtra yourself.
Okay.
Mm, uh, and then I think I saw you fill out the ginger form already.
I think, as I was like going through the sign up process, I may have done that.
Yes. So you technically already signed the agreements and the forms. I'm not sure if I didn't really look into it to see if you turned in like the vaccinations.
I don't think I did, but I have them all. The only thing I don't have is a stool sample, but I'll go get one this weekend.
That's something that we need.
Okay.
So you're a few steps ahead. That's good. What else?
One thing for the dog board and train, will she be socialized with dogs?
Yes.
Okay.
She still gets to play and everything with dogs.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's what we can work on as well while she's here, just kind of like, slowly introducing her to dogs the proper way. And that should be all.
Do you have a strong recommendation in terms of like based on what I said, which one, if I think board and train?
Which week? Or how many weeks?
Yeah.
I'd say 2,
Okay.
but it just depends how she is. Like if she's, because one time we had a dog, and this doesn't sound like this dog, but we had a dog that was like super intense,
Mhm.
and like fearful of everything. Like we would take a kennel tray out and then lift it, and she starts screaming. We drop a poop bag folder, it just falls, and she screamed, freak out. So that dog needed a lot more progress and more consistency. Because
Yeah.
outside on a walk, she starts screaming with these little things like, wind, trains, cars, just very vocal about everything, very, freaking out.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like this dog, but that dog needed a lot of time, and a lot of time to get over that hump.
Okay.
So I'd say 2 weeks minimum, and it also depends how much control you want. 3-week program, all we're doing is advancing her obedience with dogs in a playpen area. So
Okay.
like more distractions. 4-week, we take her to the park and we do a little bit of long leash stuff. That's more towards like the off leash life
Okay.
with Hope. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Good. We are out of time. I think there is one common question clients have if you have time to hear it, or if you're.
Yeah, I do.
So one common question is, after the program, will the e-collar come off? Or is the e-collar on all day? Or when does it come on? When does it go off?
Mhm.
So it's on when you need it. So if you're going to go on a walk, it most likely be on, because we can't, even this is after training, because we can't predict what's going to happen on this walk. So for example, maybe you find out she has a new fear. Maybe like a motorcycle revs her engine, or like maybe our car crash happens and she gets freaked out. So let's say she decides to book it, right? Maybe you're caught off guard too. So like the leash slips out of your hand, or maybe you have a collar on, she flips out the collar, or like, we've heard a lot of stories where Tony's getting knocked down and everything.
Yeah.
And then she's running. So that's called flight mode. So when dogs are in flight mode, they're literally thinking kill or be killed. So hope come or hope no won't make her turn around. You're going to need power to the e-collar to override the brain in that moment to make her turn around and come back.
Okay.
So for those reasons, on your walks, it should be on for emergencies. My dog's fully trained. Jesse's dogs are fully trained. We press a button maybe like once a month, maybe, right? So you're not pressing that button all the time. It's just on just in case.
Okay.
In the home, if she's an angel, a sweetheart, then you don't need it. If you have guests come over and you know she's very jumpy, very in their face, and very overexcited, you call her up 30 minutes prior. When the guest comes over, address whatever that is needing to be addressed. Once that's done, if you find that she's fine throughout the rest of the night with the guest, then you can take it off. Or if you're just like, nah, I'll keep it on just in case she does something, puppy behavior, whatever, then you can keep it on. Does it make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Other than that, I think the board train would be fine for you. It also depends, like it's mostly just like on your availability and like how much control you're wanting for hope.
Yeah, a lot.
What else? I think that is all. If any questions come up, feel free to email me and I'll answer them.
Okay.
And other than that, has she ever she's been at a daycare once, right?
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay, sweet. So if anything comes up, let me know. Other than that, keep an eye out for that follow-up email, and then we will be in touch.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was nice meeting you.
Of course, nice meeting you as well.
All right. Bye, Nikki.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too.